the review of the Seiko Cocktail Time Blue Moon SRPB41. And there it is, guys, in all its glory. Now, before talking about the dial of this watch, I mean, this watch is all about the dial. Let's check the dimensions. The case is almost 40.5 millimeters. The lug-to-lug distance is a little bit smaller than 47.5 millimeters. The height is 12 millimeters, pretty cool, not so thick. The lug width is 20 millimeters, and the bracelet tapers down to 18 millimeters where it meets the clasp. And let's talk about the star of the show, and that is the dial. You have that kind of very nice 3D sunburst effect. Actually, it's not really sunburst, it's because you have those 3D waves, I would say, and kind of gradient that you have, that impression, but it's not really sunburst. And so this is how the dial looks like when the light hits it directly. I mean, you will be staring at this dial for minutes on end if you're wearing it in the sun. It is beautiful. Now, one thing to notice is that the color is a bit off on the camera. So the thing is, I will try to do my best to actually color correct the footage so that you get the exact right color of this dial, but I can tell you that most of the time when you see it on the internet and on Instagram, it is not right. Continuing on the dial, you have those nice applied hour indices. I think these look better than the original SAR 065, but that's a personal opinion. Applied logo, you have that nice window around the date, which is a black background, as you can see. And really nothing special about the hands besides the fact that it's Dauphine hands, and these are my favorite ones for dress watches. So a lot of things that I really like about this watch, and you have this very delicate seconds track all around the dial, which is a very nice pop of detail for this watch. I think everything plays well together. I think I'm gonna say it, it's a masterpiece. Of course, being a dressier kind of piece, well, you don't have any lume on this one, and this is what I like about it. It can pretty much fade in every situation, just like my SARB 035. If you're in a hurry and you don't know what watch to pair with what you're gonna wear, you can take this one. I know it's a blue watch, but because it is so dark and because you know, there's a gradient going to a very dark, like charcoal gray or black, well, this one fits pretty much everything I've ever worn. Even if you go for colors, it works no problem. So this is one thing that I really like about this watch. Has a lot of wrist presence, yet can really pair with pretty much everything under the sun. The only gripe that I would have with this watch is that in the shade, it's just a shame because you don't see how beautiful the dial is, and when you put it like that and you have a harsh reflection, you don't see it either. So sometimes it can get difficult to see the color of the dial or even tell the time. You can see right there, not super easy, but nonetheless, it's a very gorgeous watch. So if you're not bothered by this and you want a blue watch, just get this one. Onto the case, and you can see it's pretty slim as seen from the side, and actually part of the height is from the crystal, which is a Hardlex crystal, by the way, and same goes for the see-through case back right there. This is a Hardlex crystal as well. So you have to know that everything is polished on this watch. So the lugs, the top of the lugs, the side of the case, the tiny bezel, everything is polished, and this helps giving this watch a very dressier look, even if you can rock it in a casual or a business environment. So maybe you like having watches with brushed details, and actually that is the case, but only on the bracelet. The watch itself, the case, is polished all the way. And I think that's a good idea actually, because everything on this watch is all about the dial. So I think Seiko did that especially to make the dial shine, and not especially the case, which frankly is nothing to really write about. I mean, it's well finished, it's beautiful, but that's about it. Besides maybe that little lip that you have right there just underneath the bezel, which is a nice touch on the watch, but truthfully, you will not really see it when you look at it from the top like you would most of the time. Pretty nice touch though. Okay, moving on to the crown, and as you can see, it's a signed crown with the S of Seiko engraved within the crown. It's a non-screwing crown. You have just to pull it out to actually set the time. Nothing special around here. Well, second position, you can change the time, and of course, if you go to the first position, well, you can change the date if you go counterclockwise. Really nothing special. You push back in to put it in place, and that's it. So because of that, well, the watch gets a 5-bar or 50 meters of water resistance, as you can see here on the side of the case back. Now let me go back to the crown just for a second. I really like this muffin shaped crown. I know some of you guys don't like it. I happen to really like it. I think that's a cool detail that makes it pop a little bit, you know, from the previous version, but that's a personal opinion, of course. Not everybody is gonna like it. I happen to really enjoy it. And so the watch features a 4R35 in-house Seiko movement, which is one of the complaints from the watch community. People, most of the time, well, they just wish that Seiko put the same movement than in the previous generation, which was a better one, but you know, this one has been working just fine for me, well within standards, be it from a accuracy point of view or the power reserve, so no problem there. Of course, it is not the best looking movement ever, but still a nice touch to be able to see it through the case. And actually, I really like that gold colored you know, rotor. I think that's a nice touch right there, which gives this back a little bit of pop, which was not necessary, but I think it looks good nonetheless. So really not something special to write about this movement, besides the fact that, well, I think you guys know that this one is hackable. So there you go, the second hand stop, and when you push the crown back, you can hand wind it as well. Now a word about the bracelet. I actually really like the bracelet. So as you can see on the links, you have the center part and the outer part, which are brushed, and then the two links right there, which are in the middle, are polished. And this gives this watch a cool look that can handle many situations. I mean, this looks good in casual environments and business environments. Maybe you would swap that out for a leather strap if you want to use it in a dressier occasion. And as you can see, the first links folds flat when you are wearing this watch, meaning that the lug to lug distance doesn't change, which is always a good thing for smaller wrists. Now about the clasp. So it's this kind of butterfly clasp that you can find sometimes on some watches. The finishing is good. I mean, you have a really tiny line right here between the two parts of the bracelet, and that's it. The only problem is that you cannot change the size of this bracelet on the fly. So this means that you will not be able to change the size of this bracelet during the day, meaning that if you sweat and you leave a bit more room during the day because it gets warmer, well, you just can't do that. But it makes this end of the watch looks very good as well. The action, well, you have two buttons that you have to push together to actually release the system. It's been working pretty fine, no problem right there. Snaps into place, no problem. And let me actually put this one on my wrist so that you guys can see how to close this kind of bracelet and how it looks, of course. So basically, either you let the gravity do its thing and grab these pieces together. I will show you on my side, it's going to be easier. So you grab these together and then you pinch in the middle, and there you go. Or if you prefer, you can do it this way. It's not the most simple way to do it, just like that, and then like that. The only problem is doing this, you might pinch yourself here on the skin or grab some body hair. Not the most comfortable experience ever. And so there you have it, guys, on my 6-inch wrist. It is beautiful. That's a very handsome watch. And as you can see from this part, I really like the fact that you don't have a big clasp showing up. So you have to trade that on the fly adjusting to have this kind of finish on that part. I think it looks awesome. And of course, little wrist roll for you guys. And there it is, guys, as seen from a distance on my 6-inch wrist. I think it works. Maybe not if you want to use it as a dress watch, but definitely in a casual or business environment, you can rock this one, no problem. So you guys know that I like to rate my watches depending on 5 factors, so here they are. Is it straightforward? I will have to give this watch a 4 out of 5. For a simple reason, you know, as seen from a distance, it's not super clear what this watch is all about. You have to get closer to really understand that actually there's not much going on the dial except for the dial itself. So it's not as in your face as would a diver watch be, yet it is still pretty straightforward because you have the dial, 3 hands, a date window, and that's it. So In this regard, maybe not the most straightforward watch, but you know, pretty much spot on right there. So 4 out of 5. Does it stand out? Well, I will have to give this one a 3 out of 5. You know, as seen from a distance, it doesn't stand out all that much. Maybe the bracelet a little bit, maybe the dial if you're outside and there's a lot of sun, but most of the time, it's just an unpretending, you know, simple watch as seen from a distance. I guess most people would not even notice what you have on the wrist. It's not a bad thing per se. I actually really like that about this watch, but it doesn't really stand out in that fashion, so I will have to give this one a 3 out of 5. Is it refined? Well, I will have to give this one a 5 out of 5. I mean, I think we can all agree that the whole Cocktail Time lineup, whether you like this colorway or another one, is pretty much the best bang for your buck in the industry. There's nothing coming close for even 10 times the amount of money that you're gonna spend on this watch. So that dial is, you know, that watch is all about that dial. And super refined, the kind of finishing that you have there, oh my God. It looks so good, 5 out of 5. Is it comfortable? Well, that's very surprising because for the size of the watch, it is still kind of lightweight, mainly due to the actual bracelet, but it wears beautifully on my wrist. I'm not like feeling that there's a lot of weight on my wrist. It's not, of course, as lightweight as would a G-Shock B or a quartz watch, but you know, you have an automatic watch right there. So given this fact, and the fact that it's very comfortable to wear, I have to give this one a 5 out of 5 for the size of the watch. What about the what the hell factor? And I will have to give this one a 4 out of 5. Now, let me explain why. So when I choose a watch, I mostly go for sportier options, which this watch obviously is not really. I mean, it's closer to a dress watch than it is to a sports watch. And so this is why most of the time I don't wear it. But when I want something that looks a little bit smarter, a little bit dressier, I definitely have a hard time picking between this one and my Certina DS1 Powermatic 80, for example. So it's pretty hard for me to choose between both of them, but because it's not always this one that wins that battle, I will have to give this one a 4 out of 5. And so overall, this watch gets a very solid 84%. What I really like about this watch is how versatile it is. I can rock this in a casual environment, in a business environment, and I think I can still put it off in a dressier occasion, even if I would go with something a little bit smaller. Not because I don't like bigger watches, but just because I think that, you know, when you go to a dressier occasion, it's not about the watch. Anyway, it could work if you have a bigger wrist than mine. You can use this one as a proper dress watch, no problem. And that might seem weird to you because it's a blue dial, but you know, that dark blue that shifts a little bit towards the green, that fades to the black at the outside of the dial makes it so versatile. You can wear this with pretty much everything. It's pretty understated. So if you don't look really at it, it just won't draw any attention, but when you look at it, it's gorgeous. That's what I like about this watch. Of course, as usual, I will link this watch in the description below if you want to get one for yourself. That will greatly help the channel if you can shop around using these links. If you like this video, well, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you guys think about the whole Cocktail Time lineup. Which is your favorite? I mean, they have so many options. I really like the one with the power reserve, but that might not be your cup of tea because it's a thicker piece. I actually quite like it, so please let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you want to stay tuned about watches for small wrist and watches in general, because that's what we like around here, well, subscribe to the channel and check that little bell icon so you get notified as soon as I post a new video. And in the meantime, thank you so much for dropping by. Stay stylish and keep watching.